In this video, we're going to take a look at finding the equation of line given 2 points. We'll first put it in point-slope form, convert it to slope-intercept form, and then to standard form. First, take a look at what point-slope form looks like. This is the typical form they'll give you. I'm going to rewrite this a little bit later to make it easier, where we're going to move this minus y1 to the right-hand side so it's y equals form. It's still going to be the idea of a fill in the blank where we have our slope, our x value, and our y value from the point. We're then going to simplify that to mx plus b form. So you notice it's still y equals, and you're going to have your slope in front of the x value, and then your y-intercept is after that. We then have to get it into standard form. Standard form is when the x and the y are on the same side and they're equal to some value c. This isn't something that you really notice on graphs. It's usually in word problems where you treat it really as a multiplier for each of them equaling some total. Let's take a look at an example and we're going to walk through it. So let's say we have 2 points, 15, 20, and 24, 26, and we want to find the equation of the line going through them. The first thing we'll always need is our slope. Now, most people look at the idea of slope using the slope formula, which is typically written y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, or some people know it as rise over run, the change in y over the change in x. You know, whatever you do works. I like the idea of using the under-over method because then you're less likely to confuse the x and y values. So what we do is we identify the x value in the first one, and then we go under to the other point, and we find that x value. So this is x1 minus x2, which would be 15 minus 24, negative 9, or we can go backwards. 24 minus 15. I like to look at the idea of the distance. How far is it from 15 to 24? It's 9. Now we'll do the over. So we go to our y value and we go over to the other y value. How far is it from 20 to 26? Well, it's 6. So we can see our slope is going to be 6 over 9, which does simplify to 2/3. So our slope is 2/3. Now just notice off for a second here, if we did y1 minus y2, we'd have 20 minus 26 over x1 minus x2, which is 15 minus 24. We'd get negative 6 over negative 9. The negatives canceled, which brings you to your 6/9, which is your 2/3. Whatever works for you, go with that. So we have our slope. So next thing we need to do is just go ahead and plug it into our formula. So I said we're going to change this slightly, so I don't like this minus y1. So let's go ahead and add that to the other side. And when you do that, you're going to have y equals m, x minus x1, that's going to stay there, and we're just going to tack on that plus y1 here. So as a fill-in-the-blank idea, we have y equals our slope, x minus blank plus blank. I also prefer this because later on in algebra, if you do transformations, it will look like that. So let's go ahead and plug in our values. We have 2/3 here. That's our slope. And then if you recall, our point was 15, 20, and our other one was 24, 26. Now, it doesn't matter which point we use. They're both correct, as long as we use the proper pairs. So if I use 15, that means I have to use the 20. And there is our slope-intercept form, slightly modified. Now we're just going to simplify this to get slope-intercept form. So what you'll notice is just it's a condensed version of what's on that right-hand side. So let's go ahead and write that down. Y equals 2/3 x minus 15 plus 20. So we're going to simplify. So in simplifying, we're going to distribute the 2/3 because it's wrapped around those parentheses. So naturally we get 2/3 x minus, now we have to do 2/3 times minus 15. So let's go over here and do 2/3 times 15. Some people will know you can do 15 divided by 3, which is 5 times the 2. Other people are more comfortable writing 15 over 1 and doing 15 times 2 is 30, 3 times 1 is 3, and then 30 divided by 3 is 10. Again, whatever works best for you. And then out here, this plus 20 is hanging out. We don't distribute there, that just stays there. Now, when we finish simplifying, we have to be very careful of signs. So we're going to be able to combine like terms. So I like to bubble in the values, including the sign in front. So we have minus 10 plus 20, which is a positive 10. There's nothing else to simplify, so we're left with y equals 2/3 x plus 10. And there is our slope-intercept form. And if we had to interpret this, we know our y-intercept is 10 with a slope of 2/3. On to standard form. Let's just go ahead and copy down our slope-intercept form so we have it. Y equals 2/3 x plus 10. So as I said earlier, we need to get x and y on the same side. Now we can go ahead and move x over right away, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. In standard form, technically we're not supposed to have any fractions. So we are going to go ahead and clear fractions. Now for this problem, it's pretty simple because there's only one value in the denominator, 3. I mean, we can say there's 1 with the 10 and the y and whatever else, but we have the 3. So what that means is we're going to multiply our entire equation by 3. And in doing that, we distribute the 3, but make sure we distribute it both sides, to the y, to the 2/3 x, and over there to the 10. So we have 3 times y, we have 3y. Now the reason we chose 3, when we multiply by 2/3, the 3's will cancel. So we're just going to be left with 2x. And we have 3 times 10, we have plus 30. Now let's go ahead and move that x term right here over to the other side just by subtracting it from both sides. So we now have negative 2x plus the 3y, because there was nothing to do there, and that equals the 30 that we were left with. Now, some teachers will prefer that we don't start with a negative term. If that's the case, we can multiply the entire equation by a -1, and you'd have a positive 2x minus 3y equals negative 30. Some people know you can just flip the signs of each. And that is your answer for standard form. Hope that helps.